Yo, this is your favorite friendly neighborhood Toronto, and today we are talking about the oh so very misunderstood teraflops. And for those who are tuning in for the first time, like you heard, I am Toronto, and I am an avid lover of everything gaming and tech, and I'm actually a four-year game dev student myself. So I know you've been hearing a lot of other YouTubers out there, maybe even your friends, telling you things about why teraflops matter, why they don't matter. That they mean everything, that they mean nothing. Well, I'm here to sort all of that out and give you the hard cold, stone cold facts. So, with that said, we're going to kick this off, and I'm going to do a lot to try to bring my point across by using a couple of analogies. First off, we're going to have to first say that teraflops is not an absolute number. That's right, guys. It's not absolute. When I say it's not absolute, that means, and no matter the context you put it in, that number stays true no matter how you look at it. Like 1 + 1 = 2. No matter how you cut it, it's always 2, and it's 1 + 1. So when a number isn't absolute, that means you need context to give you a better understanding of what that number actually means. So an example here I'm going to use is the weight of a person. So let's say you have two people and both of them weigh 180 pounds. You can't look at that 180 pounds and kind of gauge how healthy or in shape that person is, because there is no context of what that 180 pounds means, right? And what I mean by this is that to get more context, you're going to need to say one person is 5'2" and the other person is 6'1", right? With that context, that 180 pounds, you could start saying, oh, well, maybe the person who is 5'2" and 180 pounds is more big boned or overweight, while the taller person may be more slim and lean. Now, you could take this further and then go and add more context like body mass index, which then could further alter your perception of what that person could look like. Because now, if you take that same 5'2" person that we thought could have been overweight, but we now realize that their BMI is something crazy like 4% body fat, well, that might now indicate that this person is ripped to shreds, and you're no longer thinking about obesity, but more along the lines of a bodybuilder, like this guy is trying to look like Ronnie Coleman. So when you look at it, you have to understand that a person's body is composed of very complex systems that are working in tandem. And if you now bring that all the way back to gaming and our consoles, it's the same way that these consoles are very complex machines with multiple components that need to work in tandem to complete the task at hand. So even if you were to look at the analogy I was using, you could say the teraflops is the weight. So yes, you hear 12 teraflops or you hear 10.3 teraflops, but what does that mean in the context of how that console operates? It's not that one metric that could then give you the overall performance, because you're not going to be able to get a clear and proper and accurate understanding of what it's actually doing, right? So with that said, you now need to take into consideration things like the GPU, not the GPU, the CPU, and the SSDs, the velocity architecture or the geometry systems that they have in place. And all those things are going to be intertwined, and then you're going to be able to get a better understanding of how that overall system is not going to end up working, right? Because somehow, like, the teraflop narrative that's being pushed out there is just crazy, because overnight this thing became like the holy grail of the console performance, and it's just not that. I'm sorry to break it to you guys, especially you Xbox fanboys out there who are pushing that 12 teraflops is everything, and somehow that Series X is going to be completely dominating and just outright destroying PS5 when it comes to its graphical capabilities. But again, Toronto is here to tell you that is just not the case. And yes, 1.8 trillion floating point operations sounds like a huge number, which it is, but it's really not a huge significant difference to see a negligible difference in the graphical capabilities from the Series X to the PS5. Obviously, you're going to see different situations where you might be able to push a couple more frames or a couple more pixels onto the screen. And actually, even before I get any further, let's talk about these individuals who used to tout how the 6 teraflops was so amazing and industry pushing that was on the Xbox One X, and now somehow they're turning around and saying that this 10.3 teraflops is trash. Like, what is 10.3 teraflops going to do for me? What? Are you serious? That's what you're really going to try to bring around as an argument? Like, that crap does not compute. It makes zero sense to me. Like, you are legit taking the teraflop count of the Xbox One X and then adding a PS4 Pro onto it, and you're going to get the 10.3 teraflops, and you're saying that's not going to be able to do a lot? Okay, come on. Like, let's not forget the PS4 Pro was also the same system that showed the large amount of the best visually striking games that were available this generation. So that lower T-flop count still didn't stop it from industry bar-setting levels when it comes to its graphical fidelity. So this again is also attributed to the amazing developers that are able to leverage the hardware that's allotted to them. It's almost akin to thinking of a great driver who doesn't need the fastest car on the track, especially if there's faster cars that are driven by drivers who do not know how to even stay close to the apex line for that track. Now, let's talk about how the 1.8 teraflop difference between the PS5 and the Xbox Series X has been such a big focus of discussion lately, especially when it means a lot less than the 1.8 teraflop difference of the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. So let me explain, just for those who get confused and sometimes things just fly over your head. Now let's just imagine you had 3 piles of $1 bills, right? On the first pile, you had 2 $1 bills. On the second pile, you had 20 $1 bills. And on the third pile, you had 100 $1 bills. Now, if you were to take $1 from each of those piles, you would easily notice that the $1 was missing from the $1 bill, because that was 50% of what was available there. The same way how if you take $1 from the pile of 20, you're only going to you will see a difference, but it won't be as easy for you to notice as it was with the $1 bill. And this is even more exacerbated when you go to the $100 the pile of 100 $1 bills. You might not even notice that it's gone. And how this all relates right back to the differences on the T-flops and the graphical capabilities between the systems is simple. That 1.8 teraflops already didn't mean that much when it came to the consoles this generation, and next generation, that same 1.8 teraflops is going to mean even less. The same way how that $1 meant less between each pile. So to summarize everything that I'm trying to say here is just that the graphical generational leaps that we've been getting have been getting smaller and smaller and smaller, because it actually requires more power on scales of magnitude to make equal size steps in those visual differences. Because everything right now, to see a negligible difference, it requires such power. We've gotten to a place in graphics where the next improvements require such ridiculous amounts of complex calculations to approve them, because this is what's needed to see an instant noticeable difference when you're looking at the screen. I'm not talking about where you're freezing the frame and then zooming in 800% to look at the pixel level details that you're not even going to see when you're moving at 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second in real world applications. Is just not something that you're going to see and notice for most people anyways that are out there. So adding more power and then getting the visual results is not a linear correlation. It's probably more better to be displayed on a logarithmic scale. So for gamers to kind of understand this even a little bit better, just think about playing an RPG game, and then the amount of XP you need to get from level 1 to level 2 could only be 50 XP. But then to get from level 10 to level 11, you may need 500 XP. So the higher level you get to means the more missions and tasks that need to be completed so you could get to the next level, even though it is the same one level step up to the next one, aka a next generational step. And that's all to even say that we're not even talking about the teraflops that are not even all made the same, because you could take 5 teraflops on a Zen 1 architecture and then take 5 teraflops on a Zen 2 or a Zen 3, and they all do not perform the exact same, because again, their architecture is also now adding more context on how that system is going to operate. Anyways, that's going to be it for the video, guys. Let me know if you guys learned more or understand more about teraflops, and if you guys have any questions for me, just leave it in the comments. So thank you for those who made it through to the end of this video. Please share, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of the new videos that get posted. It really does a lot in helping me grow this channel. I will have all the details on where you can follow everything Toronto in the description. That is everything for now, so it's not bye, but I see you later on the next one, and I'm out.